Trinity can be a rather difficult concept for us to think about. And I've heard people say that we can never fully grasp the Trinity in our minds because the Trinity is infinite and our minds are finite, and that's absolutely true. But that doesn't mean that we can't say anything about the Trinity or that we can't begin to pierce the mysteries of God and derive some benefit from that, because God has revealed the Trinity to us for a reason. And it was Jesus Christ in the New Testament who revealed the Trinity. We hear in today's gospel that he says to baptize in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. But there were actually hints of the Trinity in the Old Testament. Nothing was explicit, but we can look at the beginning of Genesis when it says that God says, "Let us create God in our own image." He refers to himself in the first person plural. So even in the book of Genesis, there's hints of the Trinity, but it's not fully revealed until the New Testament. And in a society that we're in now where there's so many toxic ideologies, especially targeting young people, a lot of these ideologies focus on self-indulgence or our base desires or the license to do whatever we want. Reflecting on the Trinity can actually elevate and purify our minds. It definitely requires some self-discipline, but it can purify us and elevate our minds to something higher. And so it's important for us in a society where people are often focused on things that are base to think about something that's higher and something more profound. And so one of the things we can reflect on regarding the Trinity is the reality of a community of perfect unity. Three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, in total and perfect unity with each other. Which means within the three persons of the Trinity, there's never any arguments. They never fight with each other. There's never any misunderstandings. There's never any selfishness within the persons of the Trinity, and there's never any friction in those relationships. There's a perfect unity of their wills. And so if we think about even Jesus Christ on the cross, where he's in great agony and facing execution, even at that moment, what does he say? He says, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." Perfect trust and total union of his will with the will of the Father. Imagine a family where the parents, the mother and the father and the children all live this out in a community of perfect unity. Imagine a family where there's never any misunderstandings, never any arguments, never any friction or any fighting. Whenever they dedicate themselves to something, they do it completely and totally. It's like, okay, it's time to clean the house. It's like, okay, I got the bathrooms, I'm cleaning the floor, I'm taking out the trash, and everyone just jumps up and does their part in perfect unity. It's like a lot of our families, right? That's the way it always works. Or, if it's, a family says, okay, what are we going to do for our prayer life? How are we going to nurture a prayer life within our family? It's like, okay, well, we can pray the rosary each day, or we can do this novena, and everyone just jumps on board and is perfectly united with each other. It might seem a touch unrealistic, but, or if we think about a parish that's perfectly united, where, if we dedicate ourselves to some evangelization initiative, that every single person is on board and every single person is like, okay, this is what we're doing. These are the gifts that I can bring. This is what I can do. Every single person completely united in one purpose. If that were to actually happen, we would set Champaign County on fire with love of the Lord. But when we look at the world around us and we see so many divisions, that level of unity can seem unrealistic or completely out of our reach. But the reality is, we are created in the image of God. And we were baptized into the Trinity. We were baptized in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. And so even if the world around us is in chaos and in darkness and filled with divisions, as it is, That doesn't mean that we ourselves can't live out the unity of the Trinity and be formed by that. And so by meditating upon the unity and what it means to be a community in perfect unity, that can actually instill in us a desire and the ability to live that out more fully. Now, in actuality, none of us live that out perfectly. There's probably things that we're doing within our families or within our workplace or whatever communities we're in that cause friction. There's probably levels of selfishness, things that we think that we know we could be doing differently, but we don't do those things. Or there might be ways in which we tear other people down with our words or hold grudges. We need to stop doing those things and ask ourselves the question, what can I do as an individual to be an instrument of unity, united to the mission of our family, of our parish, or the workplace, or whatever community that we're in? The Trinity is not just an abstract concept. If we reflect upon the Trinity and the unity of the Trinity, we can actually live that out and become an instrument of unity in the world. If we think about one of the great saints, St. Elizabeth of Hungary, she dedicated herself to incredible works of charity. She fed the poor. During a plague, she worked to provide medical care for those in need. She abandoned all the worldly wealth that she had as a queen to embrace poverty. And she wasn't doing that simply out of natural virtue. It's not just because she was a kind person and, this was just an expression of her kindness. She did this because she was united to the Trinity. She had a deep union in the very life of God. And that union with God transformed her. And she saw these people around her not as strangers, but as people that she was united to, as children of God. And that's what led her to do those works of charity for others. And if we look at any of the saints in different ways, in a unique way for each one of them, they were transformed and molded by the life of the Trinity. And the same can be true for us. And so as we celebrate Trinity Sunday, we adore the Trinity, the unity of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, one God in three persons. But as we reflect upon that unity, that can change us, that can transform us and help us to be an instrument of unity within our families, within our parish, and within the world around us.